We're just bombarded with messages all day long, right? On our phones, on TV, in every conversation. Some are trying to teach us something, and others, well, they're trying to get us to do something. So, what's really going on there? What's the secret to making communication actually work?
I mean, we've all been there. You're sending in a lecture, and it's so packed with facts that your brain just decides to check out. Or, on the flip side, you see this amazing ad, and you're totally sold, only to realize later you were kinda duped by a clever emotional trick, not a real argument.
It really all boils down to two totally different goals. Informing is all about teaching. It's objective, it's factual. But persuading, that's about influence. It's about trying to change what people believe or feel or do. So really, one's about understanding, the other is all about action.
Okay, so let's start with that first role, the reporter. When your goal is to inform, you've got to think like a reporter. Your job is to be objective, to be balanced, to just present the facts. It's not about picking a side, it's about shedding light on the topic as clearly as you can.
This kind of informative speaking is probably what you run into most often. Think about it. Reports at work, lectures in a class, those training seminars we all love. Getting good at this is absolutely crucial for sharing knowledge in pretty much any part of life.
And what's so cool about this is just look at the range of topics you can cover. You can explain a physical object, like a machine, talk about an influential person, or try to unpack a really abstract concept like sustainability. The challenge is always the same, though. Present the information clearly and without bias.
So, how do you actually make information stick? Well, speakers have this core toolkit of techniques. And honestly, one of the most powerful and maybe underrated tools is a simple definition. Let's dig into why that is.
Sure, you could just give a synonym or a textbook definition, but one of the most compelling ways to define something is by exploring its history, what we call its etymology. Sometimes understanding where a word came from unlocks a whole new level of meaning.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example. The word assassin actually comes from an Arabic term for a sect of fighters during the Crusades who would supposedly use hashish before their missions. Isn't that wild? It's a surprising novel detail like that. That's what makes information memorable. And it's the same deal here. The term Ponzi scheme wasn't just made up. It was named after Charles Ponzi, a guy whose big scam involved postal coupons. Finding these little surprising nuggets is so important because the biggest enemy of any informative speech isn't inaccuracy, it's boredom. And that brings us to the biggest trap of all, information overload. Experts, they just love to cram every single fact they know into a presentation. But research shows us that your audience is only going to remember a tiny fraction of that anyway, which leads to this absolutely critical rule. You should spend no more than 30% of your time introducing brand new information. That's it, just 30%. So what on earth do you do with the other 70%? This is where the magic happens. You spend that other 70% of your time repackaging that new info. You become a translator. You use vivid examples, use relatable analogies, you tell compelling stories, anything to make the new information feel familiar and stick in their brains. All right, time to shift gears. We've been the objective reporter. Now we're going to switch hats and step into the passionate and much more complicated world of the advocate. Welcome to the science of persuasion. See, with persuasion, the game completely changes. This isn't just about making sure people understand something. No, this is about influence. You are actively trying to change someone's mind or get them to do something. The foundation of all persuasion is the argument. And a real argument, a solid one, isn't just you spouting an opinion. Is a specific statement, a claim, that is backed up by solid evidence. But there's a third, kind of hidden piece that makes the whole thing work. Okay, so you've got your claim, that's the point you're trying to make, then you've got your evidence. Those are the facts that back you up. But the secret sauce is the warrant. The warrant is the logical bridge, the underlying belief that connects your evidence to your claim. Like, if you claim we should ban plastic bags, and your evidence is they harm marine life, the warrant is the unspoken idea that harming marine life is bad. Without a strong warrant, your argument just falls apart. So what happens when your audience is just not having it? They're hostile to your idea. What do you do then? Our first instinct is to just throw more facts at them, but that almost never works. The first step, the most important one, is to just connect with them. Look, before you can even hope to change someone's mind, you have to show them you're not the enemy. You have to find that common ground. Acknowledge the things you actually agree on. Show them that you hear them and understand their point of view. Only then might they be willing to hear yours.
So, we've laid out these two very different roles, right? You've got the objective reporter, all about facts, and the passionate advocate, all about influence. They seem like total opposites. But here's the secret that the best communicators all understand. The big reveal is they're not separate worlds at all, not even close. It's much better to think of informing and persuading as two ends of a single spectrum. And pretty much every message we send falls somewhere along that line. I mean, just think about it. You can't have a good, persuasive speech without facts, right? It would have zero credibility. And even the most dry, objective, informative report is going to subtly influence how people feel or think about that topic. They're totally intertwined.
And here's what it all boils down to. The truly masterful speakers, they blend both. They use objective information, the reporter's facts, to build their credibility and make sure the audience really gets it. But then they use the art of persuasion to give all that information a purpose, to give the audience a reason to care. So the next time you have to get a message across, ask yourself that question. Am I a reporter or am I an advocate? And what the greatest communicators know is that the real answer, to be truly effective, is you have to be both.